For nearly 2 decades, Mr. Takahashi had never set foot outside Kojisan. All this time being spent in isolation from the real world that still persists in the constant flow of tourism. Since then, Mr. Takahashi had documented the lives of these monks through his art. These monks were known for their discipline and self-denial, their respect for all things, where no animal, not even the smallest insect, would be harmed by their hand. Strictly vegan. One time, Mr. Takahashi joked with a friend about the unrestrained consumerism in this world, how one day it will lead humanity towards self-cannibalism. It was only briefly, during all this chaos, a moment of self-gratification within Mr. Takahashi, the realization that he had been right all along. There was a time when Mr. Takahashi had drawn a series of mythological creatures as commission for a wealthy client. One of these creatures being a demonic ghost known as the Jinkiniki, according to the legend, was known for feeding on human corpses. These monks, these people on the streets, are not themselves. It's obvious that they were being possessed by an evil. Now comes the moment where Mr. Takahashi must accept the reality of his situation. An artist who prefers his reclusive ways from the outside world, and now a father who must do his duty. A warrior who must defend his wife and daughter from an evil that has taken over his village. For demon blood shall be spilt. Our shady friend Ryan, his clueless girlfriend Natalie, the suspicious Miss Takahashi, who are all horrified at the decapitated head that was just thrown through the coffee shop store window, a monk who just smashed his head through the other window and excited to fuck Miss Takahashi in every hole, and Martha, who has now went from being a tourist to being the perfect cosplay of one of Miko's gore angels and ready to do some sausage chopping. Oh yeah. Isn't that Martha's swimming shorts that Natalie stole? You know, Martha kinda liked it when seeing Natalie without any pants. Why not take off them shorts? Show off that cute little cunt again. Natalie smashing Martha across the face with a pot of scalding hot coffee, the burning flesh, glass shards penetrating her skin. Nasty little girl who messed up Martha's pretty face. But what nobody expected, even the infected, was seeing Mr. Takahashi jumping through the window and slicing off the monk's head with this sword. These demons who had taken over his town and now threatening his family with their vile ways. The family blade already stained with demonic blood, and Mr. Takahashi noticing a large American woman, also possessed, the filthy Gaijin demon who would dare set foot in his home. One clean swipe of his katana before Mr. Takahashi had rid himself of the demon. Even though Mr. Takahashi may have saved his family, there was also these Americans who are not welcome. The urge to slice a few more throats. Hesitant. Mr. Takahashi, who couldn't help but feel like there was something about these Americans that made him no different than these filthy demons. Something that makes him not welcome. So with everything about this trip starting to unravel itself, I think by now we're already figuring out Cody's scheme and what he's hoping to achieve with this trip to Kojisan, and later learn why this was a terrible idea. Basically, this whole trip wasn't to explore the monasteries. Oh no. It was Cody's idea of getting justice for what was done to Emiko. To bring Ryan to Japan under the false pretense of partying and wild nights, and forcing him to confront Emiko, make him face up for what he did. And Emiko, in disbelief that Cody would bring the man who raped her here, to Japan, to her home. Kinda makes you wonder what the hell Cody was thinking by bringing her rapist here. But before Cody could explain himself, he couldn't help but overhear the commotion outside, both Cody and Emiko witnessing the chaos in the streets, not knowing what was happening when seeing what the monks, villagers, and tourists were doing to each other. That was when everyone else ran into Emiko's room, making sure that Cody and Emiko was still alive, well, more like not attracting the other infected. Emiko, clueless, shocked, noticing the blood on her father, which wasn't his. Her mother, some girl who she doesn't know, and him, Ryan. Immediately, Emiko screamed, demanding for Ryan to get out of her home, having no care that she was risking her own and everyone else's lives. Nobody having any idea what was going on, why Emiko was screaming at Ryan, besides Cody, and Ryan of course, who just stood there, speechless, with that guilty look. And Miss Takahashi, not knowing what was going on with her daughter and these Americans. Regardless, this is no time for drama, which is why she suggested for everyone to move to the lounge area, where it's more comfortable and safe. So, I'm going to assume that Cody did not think this far ahead with this scheme. But here we are now. Ryan, brought before Emiko, and nothing to say. You can only imagine the tension in the family lounge between Ryan, Cody, and Emiko. That very soon, things are about to get ugly. Beginning with Natalie, clueless and very curious over Emiko and her relationship with her boyfriend, trying to figure out why this Emiko girl is so special all of a sudden. That was when Natalie finally recognized her. Holy shit, she's that famous porn star. That gangbang video that went around. So fucking hot. And Ryan, still with that guilty look, who still could not bring himself to face Emiko or the others. So I guess Ryan and Emiko were a thing back then, huh? Natalie, who didn't know that he was part of that video. I mean, it's not like Natalie's uptight with who Ryan was seeing or what he was doing back then, but, you know, it's kind of a shame, seeing how Natalie would have loved to be in one of Ryan's videos. And Natalie noticing the disgust on Emiko's face. That maybe she's shocking her? Of course, Emiko finds it shocking how Natalie condones rape. Elsewhere in the home, it looks like things are about to get more interesting when a devoted father, who's now bound to protect his family, and yet curious with Emiko's relationship with these Americans, and the strong feelings that the answer he's seeking is within his daughter's room, inside her laptop. Rape? The one word that finally broke Ryan's silence. That was not rape. Emiko fucking loved it, and everyone knows it. But better question is, why the hell would Cody pull this shit? Bring him all the way here for this? And what does he have to do with Emiko? And as I said, things were about to get worse when Cody saw Mr. Takahashi entering the lounge with Emiko's laptop, which was playing the video. So it all makes sense now why these American friends are here, and why Emiko left America. A father, ashamed, disgusted by what his daughter had done, demanding Emiko to explain this filth and how these friends are involved. And Ryan, wanting to know why these people are giving a shit about this when knowing what's happening outside. No. Even though Mr. Takahashi feels like he doesn't know his daughter anymore, he still gives a shit. Which is why this American boy is going to sit back down and shut his damn mouth, so he can hear what his daughter has to say about all this. Or he'll shut it by having his throat slit. Mr. Takahashi knows what's happening outside, in the streets. There is no moral order left in this world, not even in Japan. But in Mr. Takahashi's house, there is still order there is still honor, and there is still punishment.
There is a death song on my mind. I cannot see, my eyes are blind.
A situation going from bad to worse. But very soon, things are going to take an interesting turn, seeing how the hippie trail had somehow found itself being drawn to this moment. I don't know, maybe Ryan has a good point. With what's going on in Kojisan, what's waiting outside that window. At a time like this, I don't think they can afford turning against each other. It's not like Cody's plan involved an outbreak of cannibals and rapists tearing up the streets, nor Eric Estrada's blissful journey leading him to these people. These people. Purple people. Purple people who are in dire need of bliss. For the sight have shown out the way, here to bring these people, not a disease, but the next step of human evolution. Al the chemist, who's now here to bring these people to salvation.